Hello, I'm State Representative Marilyn Slaby from the 38th House District. Welcome to Ohio in Focus.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Ohio in Focus, a program that brings state government to you. I'm your host, Patrick Schwartz. We have with us today State Representative Marilyn Slaby, who serves the 38th House District, which includes western portions of Summit and Stark County. Thank you for joining us today, Representative.
You're welcome.
Well, with the 131st General Assembly now underway, the speakers appointed all Republican members to serve on various House committees, 19 total committees. Last General Assembly, you served on the Education, Insurance, and Judiciary Committee, but it looks like your committee work will be changing a little bit this General Assembly to the Education, Ways and Means, and Energy and Natural Resources Committee. So I wanted to see if you could just explain to us the importance of committee work to the legislative process.
Committee work is very important. We have the opportunity to listen to anybody who wants to come in and speak. After they have spoken about a bill, for, against, we are able to understand where people are. There's a at least three times that you hear a bill, the 3 hearings. If there's no more people to speak, everything is fine, we then take a vote. But this is very important because this is the time that the people of Ohio can tell us, yes, this is a great bill, or no, we don't like this.
Absolutely. Well, can you please explain some of the issues that the Energy and Natural Resources Committee deals with? Well,
Energy and Natural Resources deals with all of the abilities that we can do with the gas and the shale. And that's very prominent in Ohio. The problem is, in my district, we have a lot of that, but we also have some people that are very unhappy about it. And so this is why this is important, that I work with it and find out where it's going to go and what's going to happen in Ohio, in my district.
Absolutely. How about the Ways and Means Committee? What kind of issues does that committee?
Ways and Means takes care of taxes for the most part, and that right now with the budget is the number one. And I like that my people are letting me know where they are on many of these taxes, and that's what I need.
Great, great. On to our next topic. We're going to speak a little bit about the Purple Martin legislation that Representative Slaby worked so hard on. House Bill 404, which passed both chambers of the state legislature last year in the last General Assembly and was signed into law by the governor, designated the Portage Lakes region in Summit County as the Purple Martin capital of Ohio. And purple martins are birds that are similar to a swallow that nest in the Portage Lakes region every summer.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about these birds?
It's very, very important. They have been working on this. Larry Hunter, who has worked on this with Mary Taylor, who started the legislation clear back in the beginning of 2001 and plus. And from that, then went into, it did not get passed. It didn't do anything. And so we were thrilled that we were able to work with this through our House and through the Senate to finally get it passed. And it's very important because of all of what the purple martins do. They only eat bugs, mosquitoes. And we had people that were calling my office who said before the purple martins were brought, they could not open a window ever in the summertime because the bugs were so bad. And with the bugs being bad around the Portage Lakes, they were spraying. And when they would spray, all that spray would come into the house. And they said they'd get up in the morning and their children were covered with this spray. So they said, this is just so important because all they do is eat the bugs.
Absolutely. Well, I know this is a bill that you worked very hard on for a long time, and along with Representative DeVitas and Senator LaRose, can you speak a little bit about the process it took to work with them and get this bill passed?
Well, they were great to work with, and this is why it was important that we had, especially Senator LaRose working with us from the Senate so that we had somebody there working to push it through the Senate. And because it's one of those bills that the normal person would look at and say, oh, okay, you know, it's not any big deal. But it was to this section. And now the Purple Martins are starting to be brought in throughout all of Ohio, which is great. And there's other areas. But because Portage Lakes has started this work, worked on it, these people out there and these organizations out there, they will go out every single morning. And the Purple Martins allow you to go into their nests. These are man-made nests that are put up so that when the martins come in, they lay their eggs, they go in there and they count those eggs several times a week so they know exactly how many birds are going to be hatched. We had an 8th grade class from Manchester High School that came out one morning and we worked with it. They were able to see the little tiny eggs. They could not believe these birds that are flying around came from these little tiny eggs. One of the things that the organization does is they feed them eggs before the bugs are in town. And these are hard-boiled eggs that they take and chop up into tiny little pieces. They put on a spoon and they flip them into the air and the birds fly down and grab the eggs. And that's to give the birds the protein before the bugs are in town.
Great. Well, I'm sure that was a great opportunity for
Oh, I
those
loved
kids.
being with the kids, being
Absolutely.
an educator.
Absolutely. With your background, I'm sure that's great. So you mentioned that the organization, and you mentioned Larry Hunter. Who are some of the people and the groups in your district that helped work on this idea?
Well, for the most part, it was number one was Larry Hunter, but he has many people out of his organization that come out and they cook the eggs every morning, and I do not have a list of names of all of them, but the organization is fantastic. And because they became the Purple Martin capital of Ohio, they're going to have a very big dinner celebration on May 15th at the Prime Restaurant. And anybody who would like to come is able to come. And it will be a big day for them to. They're going to have their new banner out, all ready to put out so that they can show everybody they are number one.
Great. Well, I'm happy to hear that legislation was finally able to get passed after all that hard work. So our next topic we're going to speak about is your work on the Education Committee. So the House Education Committee is expected to deal with some very major issues this General Assembly. As a former educator, Representative Slaby served on the committee since her appointment in 2011, but also served as the vice chair of the committee in 2004. So obviously it was expected that you would continue your work on this committee, this General Assembly. What are some issues you believe that are going to come before the committee over the next 2 years?
This is going to be a major, major issue, and I think everybody in the state realizes that at this point. Right now, we're working on charter schools and exactly what can be allowed, what cannot be allowed, what we can do. And so this is going to take a long time. It is not something that's going to be done in 3 little meetings. It's going to take a while, and many people coming in to speak on it. We'll also have the testing, which we have to cut down on testing. To me, testing is one of the worst things there is that's going on right now, and we have to bring the testing down. And I was in charge of testing in one of the school districts, and the only test we had was the state test at the end of the year. Now we're up to hours and hours and hours of testing. So we really do need to do something. We have to go back to teaching and not just testing. You cannot test until you've taught them something.
Absolutely.
For sure. Also, one of the things is I'm sure we'll get back into his Common Core. And to me, Common Core is just a set of standards. And all of the schools in my district are excellent schools. And there's not a problem. In fact, as I've talked to the superintendents, they've told me, we haven't changed a thing with Common Core because we taught everything that was in Common Core before, so we haven't had to change. But I have found that there are schools throughout in Ohio that really taught nothing. Their first grade and second grade, they're still teaching what everybody else had taught in first grade, and some of them even into third grade. So we had to bring in standards. I would love to see the state of Ohio come up with their own standards if they would like. But until that time, I think we have to have standards, whether out of Common Core.
Great. Well, are there any other concerns or issues, either by your colleagues or your constituents that you've spoken to in regards to education?
I think all of them are they want to make sure our children are receiving the best education possible. Ohio is known to be one of the top states in the country, and we have to keep it that way. And so it's very important that education stays number one as far as I'm concerned. But as the only educator in the Republican caucus, I fight them constantly on what they want to change in the schools.
Absolutely. I know it's something that you're very passionate about.
Yes.
And look forward to seeing the work you guys do on these issues. Our last topic today, we're going to speak a little bit about the water quality legislation that has been being discussed in the House. And this is an issue that could be very important to your area, being near the Portage Lakes. As you know, the House Agricultural and Rural Development Committee has been traveling the state to address these water quality issues. Can you share with us how this could affect Summit County and the Portage Lakes region?
Well, it's important that whatever is done helps everyone in the state. And in my district, as you say, the Portage Lakes, it's important that we are sure that we have clean water. People swim in this water. And they also boat in the water. They fish in the water. They take the fish out and they eat those. So it's very, very important that we keep the water clean.
Absolutely. Well, this issue really shines light on the balance and the cooperation between a healthy agriculture industry, but also preserving our natural resources,
Right.
such as Lake Erie and the Portage Lakes. And do you see this being addressed a lot during this General Assembly?
Yes. I really think that this year, at General Assembly at least, will solve many of the problems. And as you say, the Agricultural Committee has been working very hard on this. They spent all summer going from place to place to check water and see how everything was going. So it's very important. And I do believe the rest of the reps are right on to it.
Great.
We will.
Well, glad to hear that this issue is being looked at as well. So.
Yes.
Well, with all the issues we've discussed today, Representative, I'm sure your constituents will be happy to contact you and find out some more information. How can they get in contact with you?
Oh, I hope you do call, any of you. And you may reach me at rep38 ohiohouse.gov or phone-wise 614-644-5085. And please call.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Representative. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And we look forward to seeing you again on the next edition of Ohio in Focus, the program that brings state government to you. Thank you for joining us.